Page 86, the Rosary. The last piece in the book. Congratulations if you made it this far. If you don't have a teacher, I would recommend you go through the book again. Review everything, review the lessons, go through the pieces again. This piece, I'm sure, is for a vocal solo, but there's no words in this arrangement. However, you can always Google it and find out what's going on. This is a great piece as far as interpretation goes, because there's some give and takes in here and some things going on we need to talk about. So I look it over. It's 2 pages long. We don't have to deal with a page turn this time. Treble and bass clef, at least to start. 2 flats in the key signature, so it's either in the key of B flat major or G minor, and this happens to be in B flat major, but do the scales and arpeggios for both. G flat major and B minor, and by the time you get to this level, you should be doing at least 2 octaves on both. And if you're getting it where you're comfortable with 2 octaves and the tremolo exercise and all is comfortable enough, go do the 4 octaves. Start with that. It's just you don't need to spend a lot of time on scales and arpeggios. Just a little bit of time, but it's day after day after day that really does the work. A 4/4 time signature. Let's just check the fingerings to make sure. I want to try and connect everything if I can. I hear. We have 2 voices. Hold the half note down. You use 4 if you want. You use 5. I don't care. You want that? You got to use 5. Yeah, but I want to connect it. I want to connect that. So watch out. You can't connect this apart. Do the best you can. It doesn't sound right, but that's what it is. These dotted rhythms, make sure that's a short note. Measure 6, 1 E and 2. And measure 7 is 3/4 time. They switch the time signature on now. It's going to go be who knows what. In this piece, the thing that's going to be common among the different time signatures is going to be the speed of the quarter note. All we're doing is throwing off the natural accents. So in measure 6, you got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 7, it's just a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the speed of the quarter notes is the same. Now, fermata, you hang on to that later. We'll do that later. Here, I do a 1/4 on that because we're here. Here. I want that. Sounds weird, but that's it. F sharp, B flat, here. You do it again. So you work out the notes. Now on the second line on page 87, that cadenza, alla cadenza, in the manner of a cadenza. I'll talk about that a little later. They're just broken chords. We'll come back to that. Measure 22 here. Would like to be able to hold that B flat down because it's a dotted half note. We can't. You got to let go of it, move down. And then here, left hand plays the top D, and then here. Yeah. Speaking of left hand, you're here and then here. Now again, we'd like to hold that half note down, but we can't. We got to get off it because we got to come up here. Hold the C down though in the second measure, then come down. Now measure 16, the melody, there's a counter melody in the left hand. You're here and here. It's, yeah. You see the little tenuto lines? That is, that line, tenuto, is also used to indicate where a melody might be. Rachmaninoff did this in his pieces quite a bit. And it's just telling you this. There's a melody note in there somewhere. You have to figure out which one it is. And that's, we want to keep that in mind. 5-2 here. And then connect that melody with with the fingers if I can, so be careful on those. Measure 20, it's here, and then you get treble clef here, and then bass clef. So they keep changing, they can change the clef signs whenever they want, and then a measure 21, again, bass, treble clef. How you figure these, this is fun. I do it that way. I cross over. And then go figure out the notes. And then here. If you can't reach on measure 23, you can't reach that, it's alright. Do that. Break it up. That way. Or whichever. To let the pedal help us out, but the idea is you're going to roll the chord sort of. You're not playing all the notes at the same time. You're playing one note and then the other. Then we put the hands together, and of course I'll hesitate. I don't care. I just want to know, because sometimes I have to change the fingering. So I'm holding the B flat down. I'm going to slide off. That's by itself. So I go through and put the hands together. Now let's go back and talk about this cadenza here, the second line on page 87, starting with these little 30-second note things. A cadenza is just a little flurry, showy-offy thingy that you can do. A lot of times it's optional. You can actually leave the thing out. We could go from measure 15 here. See, we could leave out the cadenza and go right into the next line. But if we want to do the cadenza, a couple of things to keep in mind. First, it needs to be accurate. Play it as best you can in one hand position. The right hand's going to move around. Those are okay. And then the next measure is these notes. It's the same chord, it's just different one. The high D, A, B over. Or if you have a short keyboard, do whatever your highest D is, that's fine. The idea here is it's a flourish. It's not necessarily done in rhythm, although they're all 30-second notes, but you're not going to necessarily have 4 beats in a measure. It's a free-for-all. It could be anything. Here they've written it out where you do kind of get 4 beats in a measure, so you can use that as your guide if you want. So it's 1, 2. Now this is in 3/4 time on this line because in measure 34 you got 3/4. So it's just 1, 2, and this is and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and that way 1 and 2 and 3 and. So you gradually work it out there, and then the next measure is a 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3. If you're going to do it that way. However, again, a lot of cadenzas you don't have to worry so much about keeping a strict beat because it's a free-for-all. You just do it. You start that a little slower and speed up. It's a free-for-all, and you experiment with it. The idea is it needs to be accurate, and as far as memorizing it, well, you just got to memorize that chord and then that chord. So once you get those 2 chords memorized, and you can change this cadenza. You do your own cadenza. You do whatever. Too many notes? Well, shorten it up. I can do here. Just play the same chord. Here. So you can shorten it up or play fewer notes or whatever it is, whatever you feel. You can make it longer than that. You can add more measures for the cadenza. I don't really need more measures to write it out. I mean, I could take that second measure, measure 15, and I can put as many notes in that measure as I want, as long as they're part of the cadenza, whatever. There's a lot of things, you have a lot of freedoms with a cadenza. Or as I said earlier, you can leave out the whole thing. Don't do the cadenza at all. for this lesson, I'm going to do it in rhythm, just like it's written. Then you'll notice the fermata at the end of that line means stop. Let's take a breath here. Let's recover from this mess. Then when you're ready, then you go on. Just don't take too long to silence. It's just a general pause. How long you pause is entirely up to you. If you don't want to pause, don't pause. Skip it. Go on. Again, it's part of a cadenza. You do whatever you want. Most cadenzas, they will put in a fermata. That means you can make it go as long as you want. The fermata covers you. You go wherever. You add a bunch of more measures or whatever, the fermata will cover you. It simply means this cadenza is going to last who knows how long. So once I have an idea of the notes and the fingering and the rhythm and all that, then I add the articulation, and this is very connected. Do what you can to connect it. Lift up for the rest, otherwise we're connecting this. The fermatas, you hold them out as long as you want to. If I do it with a metronome, I'll double the value of the fermata. However, for measure 15, I'm going to play that fermata one beat. I'm just going to pause for one beat, and then I'll go on. I got to stay with the metronome. Now at the end, that fermata half note, I'm going to hold that out for 4 counts instead of 2. But when you're not playing with a metronome, you just feel how long you think it should held out. And when you're ready, you lift up. Now for the dynamics, they apply to the melody. And the counter melody, you can bring it out when it is. But otherwise, soft, you go ba da da. But moderately soft, go on to here. Come back. You can do that again. Ba da da. That's basically the feeling. You're going to swell each one of these. You do get loud at the top of page 87 here. You're louder. Now you're very loud. And this cadenza, it's probably in the moderately loud area. Although you can do what you want with the dynamics. You start it soft, you get crescendo, put a swell in it, whatever you want to do. Because after the cadenza, you're coming down to moderately loud here. Which means measure 16, the counter melody, that's also moderately loud. That's what we want. The rest of it, it's got to be soft in the left hand. Then you're loud at the bottom of the page, measure 27, very loud here. That's very loud. And this, that rolled chord, that's interpretation. There's no set how fast or slow you roll. It's all what do you feel. You can do it quickly, I can do it slowly. For emphasis, slow it down because it's, we're loud here. That's what I generally do. When it gets really loud like this, I usually slow that down so it's more emphasis on it. And then you're ending it soft at the end. Now, as far as speed goes, andante moderate, it's in the middle, about where I've been going here. Because these are eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, ba, ba, ba. How fast do you want the melody to go? And that'll tell you. At the end, the last 2 measures, it's lento, the different speed. So you've slowed down on measure 27, you're getting slower and slower and slower. So you kind of go into the lento. It's just very slow at the end. Not too slow. We don't want to last forever. They're thinking, is this over yet? But slow. And we need pedal on here because it's too choppy. We can't connect these repeated notes. We need pedal for that. And we need help connecting or playing notes that we can't hold down with the hands. Like at the beginning here, I can't hold that down, but I want it to ring out. Now, I don't know why at the beginning here in the left hand, they give you a half note here. And in measure 3, it's almost the same thing, but they don't. It's just an eighth note. because they were eighth notes. I don't know why exactly, but I would treat measure 3, that first note, as though it were a half note, just like all the others. I just hold it down. And because you're using the pedal for that, it's probably going to sound more like a whole note if you hold it down that long. So the notes first and then the pedal. Now you notice that the end of the first measure, it's not a change pedal. They're lifting it up. This is to keep it clean. We don't want all that. So because we can connect it with the fingers, we don't need the pedal. Just lift it up there. Make sure you hold the B flat down, and then here, and then change, lift up. So that F is by itself. Do it again. Now at measure 3, I can't really connect all these very well. So I am going to do a change pedal here. Measure 4, lift it up. That's by itself. Here. Measure 5, I have a problem. I can't connect with the hand. I want them connected, so I have to pedal this, but I don't want to blur it up. So I'm going to have to change it with each eighth note. And I measure 8. I change it on the half note. Hold the bottom note down. I don't want all of it. I don't want all of it. And then lift up, a little silence. And the pedaling they're showing is fine, except I would do a change pedal throughout here. I want constant sound. Now measure 13 at the beginning, you do want this note by itself, so make sure you're changing the pedal there. And you can go on. Here. And I'm going to change with each eighth note because I want to connect them. Now here, they're accented, you can separate them here. One of the ways of interpreting accented notes when it's note after note accented, like in measure 14, is you can separate them a little bit. So here we would not pedal them, so we can hear that silence. And this, how you pedal that is up to you. You can leave it down. It's all one chord, and change it. But that's fine if you want all that sound. If you want to change the pedal on the last note. So that's by itself. It's another way of pedaling it. It's interpretation. How do you like it pedaled? And then lift up so we get a little silence there. And then we'll go on. Again, in these measures, lift up so it's by itself. Anyway, listen to the pedaling very carefully. If it's too blurry, change it. If you want to connect the notes, make sure you're pedaling to help you connect them. If you can't do it with the fingers, it's a very personal thing, and it can get quite complicated. Coordinating what the foot is doing with the sound and everything else going on. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'll give us 4 counts. Because there's eighth notes all over, I'm going to put the metronome on eighth notes though. But I'll give us 4 quarter note counts to come in. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 1. And 2 and 3 and 1. And 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and hold and go on and hold, go on. And rest and